Today I'm going to show you how to make 3 fast food meals, but all of them have a lot less calories, more protein, and they are very easy to make. Starting with the first recipe that I call the tortizza. It's awesome when you just have that pizza craving. To start, you need 1 large tortilla as the pizza base. A large tortilla has around 180 to 200 calories with 5 grams of protein, which is awesome for a quick pizza. Large tortillas here where I live have a diameter of 25 centimeters or 10 inches. That is, in my opinion, a very good size for a speedy pizza. For the pizza base, I honestly don't bother to make a tomato sauce. Instead, I buy a tomato sauce from the store. There are really good ones available. However, you need to find one that doesn't have oil as the first ingredient on the label, because otherwise the calories will be very high. The ingredient list is sorted by the most used down to the least. This one has only 36 calories per 100 grams of sauce because, as you can see, it's mostly made out of tomatoes. Next is the cheese, and here you can also save some calories if you buy fat-reduced grated mozzarella cheese. This one, for example, has 30% fat instead of the regular 45% and has only 260 calories with 28 grams of protein, which is really good for a cheese. Put a small bowl on a scale and measure out 60 grams of cheese, which is a good amount for a large tortilla. Next is the protein source, and here I love to use deli meat from chicken. This not only tastes great but has incredible macros. 100 grams of chicken has only 120 calories with 24 grams of protein. This is the perfect topping. So, to make the pizza, this could not be easier. First, start the broiler to maximum and then heat up a pan to medium that's big enough to fit your tortilla. Add a teaspoon of 4 grams of olive oil and place in the tortilla. Now try to move it around the pan. This will help create a brown crust at the bottom. You will see what I mean in just a moment. As the tortilla is cooking, you can already place the tomato sauce on a scale and scoop out 60 grams of sauce, then spread it on top of the tortilla so everything is covered. You can also use more if you like. As I said, the sauce is very low in calories, so use as much as you want. Then add a pinch of salt, freshly ground black pepper, and a couple of dashes of oregano before adding the cheese. What I like doing is first adding the half of the cheese, then adding the deli meat on top. I use 70 grams of meat here, more doesn't really fit on a large tortilla, and then add the other half of the cheese on top so it can become golden brown as well. Once you have added all the toppings, you can start checking the bottom of the tortilla and you will see that it will slowly develop a nice color. Once you are happy with that color, put your pan in the oven under the broiler and keep checking the pizza. As soon as the cheese is bubbly and becoming brown, you can immediately remove the pizza from the oven. This should take 2 minutes max. After about 15 minutes from start to finish, you have a beautiful looking pizza with nice bubbly cheese, and you even have a slight crust at the bottom. This is the perfect pizza when you have that craving. The tortizza comes in at 476 calories with 37 grams of protein. The next recipe is my own version of a pasta Alfredo that has 67 grams of protein and is, again, very easy to make. First up, you are going to need any kind of pasta. The shape doesn't really matter here as calories are the same anyway. However, there's one thing you could do if you want to add more protein. Use chickpea pasta instead. This kind of pasta has the same calories as regular pasta, but 22 grams of protein, which is double the amount of regular pasta, and in my opinion it tastes really good. Add 70 grams of pasta weighed raw into a pot. That is a good amount for 1 serving, followed up by a strong pinch of salt and just enough water so the pasta is covered. Then put it on the stove on high heat. You don't need to wait until the water is boiling before adding the pasta. Just give the pasta a stir when the water starts to heat up so they don't stick to each other, and as soon as the water starts to boil, which should happen pretty much immediately because we don't use a lot of water, let it simmer for 11 minutes until al dente. In the meantime, I'm going to make the Alfredo sauce, which starts with a blender or a food processor and cottage cheese. This is available with only 1% fat and is a ridiculously good protein sauce with up to 13 grams of protein per 65 calories. Place your cup on a scale, scoop out 100 grams of cheese and put it into the blender, followed up by evaporated milk. This is also available as a low-fat version. It helps make the sauce creamy and replicates the sweetness of heavy cream that is normally used for this recipe but will add a lot more calories. 50 grams goes into the blender, followed up by parmesan cheese. Yes, this is quite high in calories, but because it's so strong in flavor, you only need to grate 15 grams of cheese to taste it already and put it into the blender. Finally, add a 1/4 teaspoon each of garlic powder and onion powder, a pinch of salt and freshly ground black pepper. Then place it on the mixer, blend on high for 60 seconds until it turns into a smooth consistency and set it aside for a moment. Next is the protein source, and that's going to be chicken breast for this recipe. This piece weighs 180 grams, and I like to slice the chicken into thin slices and then again into smaller bite-sized pieces. That makes the cooking process a bit quicker. To add volume, I'm gonna chop up a yellow onion that weighs 50 grams and then a red bell pepper that I will cut into bite-sized pieces as well, similar to the size of the chicken, and then let's get cooking. Now, if you're interested in a cookbook that allowed me to lose weight and keep it off, and that is packed with over 220 recipes that are all low in calories and high in protein, just like the ones in this video, click the link in the description. I will constantly keep updating the book and you will get all updates for free once you've purchased it. You won't regret buying it. So, put a teaspoon of 4 grams of oil into a pan on medium heat and start with the onions and the bell peppers and also a pinch of salt. Stir fry them for about 3 minutes, stirring occasionally until they get soft and the onions start to caramelize. Then push the vegetables to the side of the pan, add another half teaspoon of oil and then the chicken. Try to separate the meat here as best as possible so it gets in contact with the pan. That will lead to the most amount of browning and thus more flavor. For seasoning, I will add a pinch of salt, freshly ground black pepper and a couple of dashes of cayenne pepper for some heat, and after 1 minute I will already flip the chicken. Remember, this is sliced very thin so it will cook through super fast. At this stage, the pasta should be ready, so save a bit of pasta water, and if your pasta is al dente, you can drain the rest of the water. Give your pan one good stir, then add your cooked pasta and the saved pasta water. The starch in the pasta water will help create this smooth and creamy sauce because it acts as an emulsifier. Mix everything and then remove it from the heat. This is important. Take your mixed Alfredo sauce, put it into the pan and give everything a stir. You will see that it slowly turns into a super creamy and glossy sauce. Never do this on the hot stove top because if it gets too hot, the sauce will break and turn into a disaster. And there you have a delicious pasta dish that's made in about 20 minutes and has 51 calories with 67 grams of protein. The last recipe is my version of a McChicken that is crispy despite not being deep fried. It starts with a boneless chicken thigh, and if we remove the skin from the thigh, the calories aren't that much higher than from breast because most of the calories come from the fat, which is mostly stored in the skin. By removing it, you end up with a 140 grams chicken thigh that has about 200 calories. Next up, we will add the breading. You will need a couple of plates here. Place the chicken thigh into the first one and add 1 teaspoon of 5 grams of flour. That is completely enough to cover the entire chicken with flour. You don't need to fill up the plate, only to end up with most of it left anyway. 5 grams of flour is completely enough. In the next plate goes 1 egg. You can also use 25 grams of egg whites if you want to save a bit more calories. Then take the floured chicken, place it into the plate with eggs and flip it around a couple of times. By the way, the reason you add flour before this step is so the egg sticks to the chicken a bit better. For the final plate, we are going to add the breadcrumbs, and in my opinion, the absolute best ones for this are called panko. These are super crunchy. Even if you don't deep fry the meat, they are perfect and you will find them in most Asian grocery stores. Add 15 grams into the plate, followed up by a pinch of salt, black pepper, a couple of dashes of cayenne pepper and also some garlic powder. Then mix everything and place the chicken in, and now cover the entire piece of meat with the panko by turning and flipping it inside the plate. Again, you don't need to fill up the plate with breadcrumbs, just add 15 grams of panko, and if for any reason that isn't enough, just add another 5 grams at a time until the chicken is covered. Also, as you can see, there is still a lot of egg left in the plate. I counted the full egg in the macros, but in reality it's probably around 40 to 50 calories less than that. So now take out the air fryer or heat up the oven, both work here, to 200 degrees Celsius or 400 F. I let the air fryer heat up for 3 minutes first, then placed in the chicken and air fry for 12 minutes. In the meantime, you can prepare anything else, starting with the bun. You have the choice here between a brioche bun that is usually higher in calories, around 200, or a smaller hamburger bun that has only 120 calories. The 120 calorie bun is not only smaller, but also made with less oil or butter. As you can see, they aren't that glossy on top. Next is a super easy sauce that is awesome for any kind of sandwich. It starts with light mayonnaise, which tastes almost as good as regular mayo, but has a lot less oil and thus only 1/3 of the calories. Scoop out 15 grams and put it into the glass, followed up by 10 grams of sriracha. This will add a nice spicy kick. And finally 5 grams of honey to add some sweetness. Then stir this and set it aside. Halfway through the air fry time, you can give the chicken a flip and look at this golden brown color. It already looks really good. Once the chicken is ready, add 1 slice of American cheese on top. This one has 60 calories, and then close the air fry without turning it on again. The residual heat is enough to melt the cheese. If you switch on the air fry here, it could blow off the cheese slice, so turn it off to be safe. Finally, add half a teaspoon of oil into a pan on medium heat, and then add the bun, moving it around so the oil gets distributed on the surface, and after 2 to 3 minutes, the bottom side of the bun will have a nice golden brown color, exactly like here. You need a bit of oil to achieve this browning, otherwise the buns will burn. So place the bun on your table and add half of the sauce as the bottom layer, followed up by the chicken with the melted cheese on top. You could also add some vegetable here like lettuce or tomatoes if you want. I won't for this video. I would just add the other half of the sauce on top and then close the sandwich. What a beautiful chicken sandwich. I love this one. The entire thing comes in at 678 calories with 39 grams of protein. If you want to try one of the highest quality olive oils possible, which I just made myself in my olive mill in Greece, check out petrussaoil.com. It tastes incredibly fresh. We also just uploaded the certificate of the laboratory to prove we are legit. This stuff is truly amazing. The link is in the description. Also, my cookbook and my Nakiri style knife made out of German steel is in the description as well.